kindergartners. Welcome.
Make it Monday. We could just go with it if you want.
We can do hard things, Mr. Kevin. We can. Did you see that, friends? Mr. Kevin made a mistake, but that's okay. We all make mistakes, Mr. Kevin.
Absolutely.
No worries. Friends, you know it's Make It Monday now, you saw it, but before we go back to that Make It Monday slide, let's check in with our zones.
Okay, well, I can do that.
Oh, good. How are you feeling today?
Mrs. Wally, how are you feeling?
Well, for the first time today, I think I am solidly in the green zone.
That's wonderful.
I had a really hard time today. My brain was having a hard time focusing, and I had to film all these lessons, and I was really worried about it, but I've done it. And I'm really excited to teach this kindergarten lesson, and I accomplished my goal, and that always feels really good when you set a goal and accomplish it, even if it's a small goal. How are you today?
In the yellowish zone.
Why are you in the yellowish zone, Mr. Kevin?
Well, I'm just got a lot on my mind. You ever have those days where you got a lot on your mind?
Yes, I have had those days. So, well, let us know if we can do anything to help you.
Okay. Well,
Okay.
I can make it. I can do things.
You can do it. You can even do hard things.
I can do hard things.
You can. All right, friends, let's take a look at our Make It Monday. How many more do we need to make 16? Mr. Kevin, how many more do we need to make 16?
I would say we need 6 more because I see 10.
Oh, and you know that 10 and 6 more make 16? Oh, awesome. Wrong pen. Not just Mr. Kevin makes mistakes, Mrs. Wally does too. You know, kindergartners, we're going to be learning about this soon, that when you have 10 and then another single-digit number, they make the teen numbers. Okay, friends, we have 10. If 10 and 6 make 16, then what makes 17? 10 and, it's this number right here, 10 and 7. That makes 17. Isn't that great? What makes 18? 10 and, you got it, 10 and 8 makes 18. Then what makes 19? Oh, we have to fill all of them except one. You're right, 10 and 9 makes 19. What makes 20? Mr. Kevin, what makes 20?
10 and 10.
10 and 10 makes 20. I gotta fill them all up. 10, 20, do that with me. 10, 20. Make your 10, flash 10, and then flash another 10. 10, 20, very good. Today we are learning what subtraction is. Mabel, we've been putting together. We've had parts, we've put them together, and we found the total. We're not doing that because that was called addition. I wonder what subtraction is. Friends, do you have any ideas? If we had 2 parts, we put them together to find the total. I wonder what the opposite would be. Well, I might have a total, Mr. Kevin, and take one of the parts away, and then I would know the other part?
Yeah.
Maybe. Let's take a look and find out. First, let's practice our adding. If we have 3 and 2, how many do we have all together? Do you remember? We have 5. What about 2 and 2? Yeah, it's 4. 2, 3, 4. What about 2 and 1 put together? 3. What about 4 and nothing put together? 4. Very good. Okay, you're getting really fluent at that adding. I'm going to tell you a story. So, Mr. Kevin, can you just see my whiteboard? And Mabel, you're going to help me, and we're going to tell some stories. We don't even need the PowerPoint, Mr. Kevin, just the whiteboard.
Just the whiteboard.
We're going to practice telling subtraction stories. And here's how it goes. I'm going to draw my setting. So here's some water, and I've got a log. Here's like a little part of the log sticking up, and maybe a little leaf. And I love to tell stories about frogs on logs. because frogs like to jump in the water, right? Okay, Mabel, how many frogs should we have start on the log? Okay, friends, there are 5 frogs on a log. 5 frogs on a log. We have 5 frogs on a log. 2 jump into the water. How many frogs are on the log now? Can you help me act it out, friends? Here we go, ready? Hop, hop. How many frogs are on the log now? 3. We had 5 frogs, and we took 2 away, and they hopped into the water. And now we have 3. Now we could add them back, and they could hop back on the log, and we would have 3 plus 2 equals 5. Or we can have 5 minus 2 equals 3. So when we subtract, we have the total, and we take away part of it to find the other part. When we add, we have 2 parts, and we put them together to find the total. When we add, we're finding the total amount. When we subtract, we're finding one of the parts. That's what subtraction is. Pretty cool, huh? When you subtract, you take away to find the other part. Let's do another story. Okay. How many frogs this time, Mabel? What do you think? 3? Okay. 3 frogs on a log. Mr. Kevin, how many should jump in?
I think 2 should jump in.
2 jump in the water. How many frogs are left on the log?
Ribbit, ribbit.
1. We had 3, which was our whole. We took away 2, the part that hopped off, and we found our other part, which was 1. 3 minus the part we know, which is 2 that hopped off, equals the part that's left, 1. It kind of would look like this. We have 3. We know 2 hop off. And we're trying to figure out how many frogs are left. How many frogs are left? 1. Now, if the 2 frogs hop back on and we put the 2 parts together, how many frogs are on the log? 3. That would be adding. Now we're subtracting. We're trying to figure out how many frogs will be left on the log. There's 1 left because we took 2 away. Okay. Mr. Kevin, how many should start now? Any number, 5 or less?
Let's say 4.
4, and I forgot to start my timer again.
That's
Can you
fine.
tell me how long?
You bet. 8:45.
Perfect. You said 4? 4 frogs on the log. How many should jump off? Miss Oslin, how many should jump off? I have 4. 3. Miss Oslin says 3.
Wow.
1, 2, 3. 4 frogs, that's our total. 4 frogs on the log. 3 jump off. How many frogs are left? How many? 1. Because 4 take away 3 equals 1. 1 frog left. Let's take a look. Mr. Kevin, can you just bring up this PowerPoint in the corner? Because we're going to use our frogs and logs to help us. Okay, friends. This says 3 minus 2. So that would be 3 minus 2. Let's model that with our counters. So how many frogs are going to start on the log? 3. 3 frogs start on the log. How many jump in the water? If we're taking away 2. 2. How many frogs are left? 1 left. Okay. 4 minus 1. That looks like this. Ooh, where'd my pen go? 4 minus 1. Can you write that on your board? Okay. Okay, let's model it. Here we go. How many frogs are on the log? That's our whole, or our starting number. 4 frogs on a log. How many jump off? We're gonna minus or take away 1. The part we know is that 1 hops away and jumps in the water. And we're trying to figure out the part that's left. Bloop, hop in the water. How many frogs are left? 3. So 4 minus 1 or subtract 1 or take away 1 equals 3. Those are words you'll hear people say to mean minus. 4 minus the part we know, which is 1 goes in. How many frogs are left? 3. Okay, the next one is clear. Here we go. Okay, Mabel, the next one is 4 minus 2. If it's 4 minus 2, what does that mean? How many frogs start on the log? 4 frogs on the log. Because when we're subtracting, this is the number we start with. 4 frogs on the log. How many jump off? That's the part we know. We know how many jump off. We're trying to figure out the part that's still left. So we have bloop, 2 jump off. How many are left on the log? 2. So 4 minus 2 equals what? It equals 2 because there's 2 left on the log. Okay, last one. Are you ready? It says 5 minus 3. Mabel, how many frogs are on the log? Well, we look at our starting number or the whole. How many frogs are on the log? 5. Say it with me. 5 frogs on the log. 5 frogs on the log. How many jump off? What's the part we know that jumps off? 3. The part we know that jumps off is 3. Here we go. Hop, hop, hop. And we're trying to find the part that's left. We know the part that went away. That's the part we took away. How many frogs are left on the log? 2. So if we have 5 and we minus or subtract or take away 3, we'll have 2 left on the log. Whenever I see subtraction equations just like this with no story problem, I think to myself, when I see this symbol right here, how many frogs are on the log? How many jump off? How many frogs are left? And that really helps me to remember what subtraction is. Okay? All right, Mr. Kevin, full PowerPoint?
Full power.
Okay, friends, I want you to show or draw 5 minus 2. You have 1 minute. Go ahead and draw or show that on your board. Okay, friends. Mr. Kevin, show my whiteboard. 5 frogs on a log. Mabel, how many hop off? What part do we know? 2 hop off. How many are left? 3. Now, if you wanted to show that with a picture, you could do this. 5 frogs on a log, 2 hop off. That would work as a picture. Nice work today, kindergarten friends. Your assignment is to do page 353 and 354. You're going to give examples of minus, which is subtracting or taking away. You're going to show picture examples of what it means to minus. You're going to draw a total and then cross some of them off and do 3 different numbers. So maybe you do 5 and cross off 2, and 4 and cross off 1, and 3 and cross off 3, whatever you want to do. And then you're going to practice writing 4 minus 3, 3 minus 1, 5 minus 2, 5 minus 4. And you could even draw a picture of it down below. Okay? Now, today we learned what subtraction is. We acted out the problem and we modeled the problem, and we found how many there are left. Great job today, kindergartners. Now, Mr. Kevin, if they want to contact us here at the TV Classroom, what can they do?
Well, what do you say if our kindergartners maybe drew us a picture of frogs on a log?
I would love it. And maybe some hopping in and I could write the equation they made and send it back to them.
That's perfect.
Oh, that would be so fun.
Have your adult help you to email us at tvclassroom@tacoma.k12.wa.us, or you can always use the regular mail, TV Classroom, 601 South 8th Street, Tacoma, Washington, 98405.
Wonderful. Thank you, Mr. Kevin. Now, friends, up next is your break and then your ELA lesson with Miss Oslin. Please make sure that you have your learning packet and your learning notebook, your pencil and your buddy. And when she comes back on the screen, you be ready to learn with her. Have a great break. Have a great time learning with Miss Oslin, and I will see you next time, friends. Bye.
Rules. 1. You have 10 seconds to pick your crewmate. 2. A new timer will appear with an exercise for the crewmate you picked. 3. You will get points for each correct crewmate and exercise you choose. 4. If you pick the imposter, you will lose all your points. 5. Use your math skills to see how many points you can get. Good luck.
Hi, kindergartners. Welcome back from your break. Excellent job gathering your materials and being ready to learn. You can take your pencil and your learning notebook and put them off to the side, but go ahead and hold on to your learning buddy if they are going to help you focus today. Now let's remind ourselves, today and every day when we come together, your job is to listen, share, read, and write.
Right.
Active listening posture, do you remember? Let's say and do it together. Eyes watching.
Eyes watching.
Ears listening.
Ears listening.
Voice quiet.
Voice quiet.
And if it helps you, your body is still. And even then, if you need the focus reminder, you can always, like our Olivia, just focus. Focus. Okay, you are gonna get a chance to share today. Now, you'll remember, I do want you talking out loud. I want you saying what you're thinking. You can say it to someone in the room with you, to your learning buddy, or to me on the screen. Today we're learning that readers use what they know about genre and text structure to better understand and connect to texts. What that means is you use what you know about the types of books that we're reading and the character and the setting and this other story elements to better understand and remember and make connections to a text. And we're going to do this today with a new story. But before we begin with that, I want to show you a graphic organizer that you can use to help you make predictions. And this says making good predictions, but we don't use the word good because then that implies there are bad predictions. And a prediction doesn't have to be right to be a strong prediction. So we're just going to say making predictions. When we read our story today, I want you thinking about what do you think as a reader when you look at the front cover? What type of book is it? Who is the main character? What is it about? Why you think that? What do you think as you read the book? What will happen next? This is where you're going to make your predictions. And then you're going to think, why did I make that prediction? Okay, the book we're going to read today is Where is Little Bear's Hat by Eileen Spinelli, and the art is by Anne Honenkov. And this is a story about a little bear who wanted to go out and play. Where is Little Bear's hat? Now, I'm looking at the picture and I see that maybe the mama bear, and then I see two other animals. The mama bear is talking, the rabbit is holding a basketball, and the penguin is wearing a hat. And I notice that they're standing in the doorway of the house. I think that this is what we call a fantasy fiction story because the characters are talking animals that live in a house, and we know that that could not really happen. So now that I know that this is fantasy, could not really happen, that's going to help me make connections and better understand the story. Okay, again, the title is Where is Little Bear's Hat? And I see a question mark at the end. Now the title, I think, is telling me about what the problem in the story is. I know fiction stories usually have a problem that needs to be solved. And the problem in this story might be Little Bear can't find his hat. Little Bear must be the main character too because his name is right in the title. Where is Little Bear's hat? And I figured this out before I even started to read this story. How did you notice, or what did you notice about what I did to figure all of that out before I even read the story? Take some think time. Turn and tell your learning buddy what you noticed that I did. Mabel, I looked at the picture and I thought about the genre or the type of story that it is, and I could tell by looking at the picture. And I read the title, and that helped me figure out what the problem is. Now, I figured out that there had to be a problem because I know in a lot of fiction books that there is a problem. That's part of the story. Okay, going back to my Making Predictions graphic organizer. What do you think as you read the cover of the book? It says, what type of book is it? Well, it's fantasy fiction. Could not really happen. And who is the main character? It's Little Bear. His name is right in the title. And what is it about? Well, I think that Little Bear can't find his hat. Hat. Help me stretch out the word hat. At. Hat. At. Oh, there's that little snap word at in there in hat. That can help me. Okay, why do I think that? Why do I think it's fantasy fiction? Animals are wearing clothes. And talking. Why do I think Little Bear is the main character? His name is in the title. And why do I think that this is about Little Bear can't find his hat? Because I know that fiction stories have a problem. And that was the title, Where is Little Bear's Hat? Okay, as we read, we're going to think about what do you think as you read the book. Pay close attention. What's happening inside your brain? What do you think will happen next? We're going to make a couple of predictions and think about why we made that prediction. Here we go. Little Bear's hat. He looked in the closet. He looked behind the door. He looked on the shelf. He looked on the floor. He looked in his toy box. He looked on the chair. He looked in the bookcase. No hat there. He looked in the bathtub. Okay. Where did Little Bear look? I'm going to reread the first page. Pay close attention to where Little Bear is looking. He looked in the closet. He looked behind the door. He looked on the shelf. He looked on the floor. Now you could predict that the word was floor because you're noticing that this is a rhyming book and floor and door rhyme. So he looked in the closet, he looked behind the door, he looked on the shelf, and he looked on the floor. Where do you think he's going to look next? Take some think time and think, why do you think that? Turn and tell your learning buddy what you're thinking. Mabel, I think he's going to look in his bedroom. He might look under his bed. He might look with his toys. And I think that because those are all places where I would look if I was looking for something that I couldn't find. Okay. Now let's reread that second page and think about where Little Bear is looking for his hat. He looked in his toy box. He looked on the chair. He looked in the bookcase. No hat there. He looked in the bathtub. Now he's really looking all over his house, even in the bathtub. He's trying to solve his problem just like characters do in fiction stories. And you'll notice that it's going in an order. He looked in his toy box. He looked on the chair. He looked in the bookcase. And then finally, he looked in the bathtub. And when I think what I already know about fiction stories is that they have a problem that our character is trying to solve. And in this case, Little Bear, our main character, is trying to solve the problem of he can't find his hat and he wants to go outside and play. What do you think might happen on the next page? Take some think time. Turn and tell your learning buddy what you think might happen on the next page. Mabel, I think he's gonna find it. I wonder, maybe he'll look, maybe it's, he already looked in the closet. Maybe there's a hat rack by his front door. Maybe it's there. Mr. Kevin, what do you think?
I think he's going to find it too, and it's going to be really close to him.
Really close to him, you think that?
Really close.
Why do you think that?
I don't know.
Okay, what do we think will happen next? So Mr. Kevin and I both think that he will find his hat. And I'm thinking of, do we think in fiction stories, when characters have a problem, have you ever read a story where they just gave up and the problem wasn't ever solved? Not very many. That wouldn't be very interesting to read. So Mr. Kevin and I both think that he's going to find his hat because we know fiction stories have a problem and a solution. So I'm going to add that to our graphic organizer. Think back to other fiction stories that we have read together. Think about A Balloon for Isabel. And the problem was that Walter and Isabel wanted a balloon, but they couldn't because they were porcupines. Did they just give up? No, they kept trying to solve the problem until they put gumdrops on their quills and got a balloon. So, okay, we predicted that Little Bear will find his hat, and we think that because it's a fiction story, and we use the genre fiction to know that they have a problem and a solution. So here we go. He looked under the bed. He looked in the mirror. Guess what Little Bear found on his head? What is it?
Yep.
His hat. Is that what you were thinking, Mr. Kevin? Mm-hmm. Has that ever happened to you where I'm like looking everywhere for my glasses and they're on my face, or I'm looking everywhere for my phone and like I'm holding it? Mm-hmm. All the time. Okay, so now we're gonna think, how does Little Bear solve his problem? Take some think time. Turn and tell your learning buddy. Mabel, he finds his hat. He solves his problem because he keeps looking. He didn't give up. Now, today, kindergartners, we learned that readers use what they know about genre, that means the type of book that you're reading, and text structure, a beginning, a middle, and an end, to better understand and connect to texts, like I did when I talked about my glasses, looking for my glasses everywhere and I'm wearing them. We're gonna remember that fiction stories have characters who have problems that they resolve in the end. And we also practice using the pictures to help us predict what we think a story is going to be about or what will happen next. And when you read a new fiction story that you're going to do today during your independent reading, think about everything that you know about fiction and story structures, character setting, beginning, middle, end, to help you make prediction. And this will make reading easier and a lot more fun. So that's your job today, your independent reading. You're going to use the graphic organizer making predictions. If you don't have this graphic organizer, you can just use your learning notebook to do the same that we just did. And you're gonna write what are your predictions And why do you think that? And of course, as always, we would love for you to send it to us here at our TV classroom so we can see what you're reading and what you're thinking about your reading. Mr. Kevin, how can our friends send us their work?
Well, kindergartners, you can just ask an adult to help you. Send us something through the email to TV Classroom at tacoma.k12.wa.us. You can also send it to the regular mail, TV Classroom, 601 South 8th Street, Tacoma, Washington, 98405.
Thank you, Mr. Kevin. Now, kindergartners, it's time for our affirmation. This is the time of the day when we say positive things about ourselves before we go off to do our independent work. And today, I want you to remind yourself that you are a strong reader. You have strong reading and writing habits. So let's say that. I have strong reading and writing habits. Excellent job today, kindergartners. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I look forward to seeing you back here next time in our TV classroom. Bye.
Hey kids, we want to see your work. Just send your pictures and your stories to TV Classroom, 601 South 8th Street, Tacoma, Washington, 98405.